Hello, this is Pastor Tabitha Purple, and we are doing our Mother's Day devotional thoughts. And I just wondered to myself, have you met her? Have you met the woman that I know so well? The one who seems to do everything with ease, who loves endlessly, who corrects when necessary, and really is there for all in need. Have you met her? Have you met the best friend, the one who you love, the one who is endless joy, but she also knows the depths of pain, the one who picks you up when you've fallen, the one who is there when you need her? Have you met her? Have you met her, the sister, the one who laughs and jokes and teases and gives you all of the extra energy, but somehow has room at her table always for you? Have you met her? Have you met her, the one woman, that one woman who you know has the irresistible smile, the bag of sweeties, the encouraging moments, the one who seems to be able to magic everything up and make it all better? Have you met her? It occurs to me how many times remarkable women in our lives go unnamed. Recently, I was sent a challenge that was sent for men. Can you name a woman, just one woman, who you admire? She's not related to you, or you're not sexually involved with her, but just one woman you know who is one that you look up to. And I realized in that post that so many people couldn't name one. But they could think of the emotions associated with the joy that women had brought. They could think of the leadership, the skills, the different disciplines that women bring to life. But to name a woman, to give name to that woman could be so difficult. Every time I read my Bible, it strikes me how many women go unnamed. So much so that I have started to memorialize those women in my Bible, started to remember them and to honor them, and to say, God knows your name. So often these women are unnamed. They are the best friend. They are the sister. They are the mother. They are the widow. They are the unloved, and sometimes they are the loved. They are the afflicted. They are the poor. They are the rich. They can be from any walk of life, and somehow the powerful forget that they have a name. Somehow their name seems to be not so relevant to what is necessary for us to know. And then recently I had this little epiphany. I was watching a young lady and she looked so together on her video, and she said, did you know that the king on a deck of cards is always worth more than a queen? And I thought, no, I knew, but I didn't realize. And she said, I wondered what that said about girls. And she was a young lady. She must have been about 10 years old, very articulate. She said it bothered me. So I asked my dad if he could buy me 5 packs of cards. And I thought, okay. And then she proceeded to explain that she wanted to go on a journey where women had equal value to men. And I thought, isn't that remarkable that this young lady has this point? Recently, we've been through Me Too movements, and we've had hashtags for all sorts of incidents where women have been marginalized and ignored. And again, the question becomes, do you know her name? Is she known to you? Have you said her name? Have you associated value with that woman? And when I think about it, I think of how many times I'm referred to as the girl pastor. The woman pastor, the British female that pastors in the Netherlands, that pastor. I'm described in multiple ways, but very rarely using my actual name. I'm somebody's mother, I'm somebody's wife, I'm somebody's best friend, I'm somebody's sister, I'm definitely a daughter, and I'm many things, but do you know my name? On Mother's Day, we celebrate our mothers. And for some, this is a very painful time as their pain goes unnoticed. They are the ones who are not able to have children, who have lost a mother, who are not in families that are functional and whose mothers don't bring them joy. They are the women and men who have gone through dysfunctional relationships and have experienced great pain. And when Mother's Day comes around, they remain unnamed. But what is equally true is that somehow We don't name our mothers either. We celebrate our mums as a title, as a way of acknowledging their gift of life to us. And then it becomes about us. Then it really is about all that we have achieved. I love my mum, she's amazing. And I have this one story that I remember. When I was about 8 or 9, and you'll think this was quite old not to know this, but I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. And I had gone out and somebody asked me what my mum's name was. And I went, Mum. And they said, yeah, but what's her name? And I thought, I don't know what my mother's name was. And it really bothered me. And I was really perplexed. And so I ran home after that appointment. And I remember saying to my mum, Mum, what's your name? And my mum, in her usual fashion, said, it doesn't matter. I am your mother. That is what is important. And in her normal fashion, that it was normal for her culture, that was normal for her time, she downplayed everything about who she was, her entire identity, and placed the emphasis on her love for me. And I remember thinking, alongside my sisters, this is really weird that I don't know my mother's name. Well, eventually, of course, I learnt my mother's name. Mind you, I grew up in a culture that we don't call our mother by her name. You always refer to her respectfully as Mum, and you do not call her by her first name. But I remember the first time when I actually wanted to introduce her to someone, I wanted to say her name. I would have been about 15 years old, and we were at an event at church, and I wanted to introduce my mother to somebody. Not just as my mother, but because I wanted them to meet her. And so I said, this is my mum. And I said her name. It felt like I was being so naughty that I was uttering something that no one had ever said before. But I was almost sure that people had called her name. I was almost sure I had heard someone somewhere call her name. But as I recounted in my mind the times that I had spoken to her friends, everyone, when speaking to me, had always said, your mother is amazing. Your mother is beautiful. Your mother was kind. Your mother. They always referred to her in the role that she had for me. And I wonder how many of us lose ourselves to our role and feel like we are being missed somehow. Well, there is a tiny book in the Bible. It is not even a page long. It fits on half a page. And in my Bible, I have some note space that I can use underneath. But it's a tiny little book, and it's by the author John. And 2 John is simply a letter to the elect woman. And I wondered about this text. I find it interesting that he doesn't give her a name. And as I read all of the theologians' comments, and I noticed that they said, well, it was probably because it was talking about a church. It was probably because... And then it occurred to me that sometimes, just sometimes, when we look at these stories, we come from such a high place in our minds that we forget they are people who are writing to people. After all, this is a letter as short as it is. The letter begins like this. From the elder, to the elect lady and her children, whom I love in the truth. And not only I, but also all who know the truth, because of the truth that remains in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace will be with us from God the Father and from Jesus Christ the Son of the Father in truth and love. What a wonderful blessing. What a wonderful moment to acknowledge a person's value and worth. What a wonderful way to speak blessing into that woman's life. It occurs to me how many times women's names have been erased from the Bible. Real people, real women. How many times they are not acknowledged, and how many times we may feel ignored. But when I read this, what I realize is that we are not alone. God sees you and he knows your name. He knows who he created you to be. He knows your value. He has love for you. When you read this beautiful letter, as short as it is, what you see jump off the page is a story of love. A story of love from brotherly love, from people who love one another, who truly invest in one another. But that love is being fueled by God. It's not being fueled by empty promises and words and forgetfulness and mistakes. It's a love that has endured for all time and will continue to endure. So when I think of this Mother's Day and I think of all the unnamed women that are in the Bible, and I think of all of you who sit in your homes, some of you will have the pleasure of spending Mother's Day with those that you love. Some of you will be celebrated as a mother. And some of you will hurt because your mother is no longer with you, or because your mother never was a mother to you, or because you were never able to be a mother. Whatever your situation is, what I am reminded of is that God knows your name. He knows your heart. He knows all of the love that fills every part of you, and He wants to love you. He wants you to know that you are loved, that you are cherished, and that you are known. And it doesn't matter that others don't know your name. What matters is that the one who gives life, the one who created mothers, the one who created us as women, the one who sat down at the beginning and decided that humanity should be formed in His image, male and female, those women are known by Him, and He knows your name. The author of this book says, though I have many things to write to you, I don't want to use paper and ink. Instead, I want to see you and be with you. And that's really the beauty of relationship. Sometimes when we're sitting in this space, we are separated by distance. We are separated by social and physical distancing. Sometimes it's difficult to remember that we are loved and we are cherished, and there are people that know our name. It gives me comfort to know that this letter, this very short page that is in the Bible, it almost seems by accident, because who really needed to add this one extra page? But how powerful it is that John felt the need to write it, and that as God allowed the Bible to be created, it was included because we know that God knows our name, and He wants you to know that you are loved, that you are valued, that He sees you and cannot wait to be with you in person, to love you, to cherish you. So this Mother's Day, I hope that through it all, through the joy, through the tears, through the laughter, through all that we go through, you will have a moment when you hear that voice of God whisper your name and call you into His relationship, call you to join with Him and celebrate the gift of life that He has given you. And if you are watching this and wondering what to do for your mum, and you're thinking to yourself, I wonder, maybe break with convention, maybe break with tradition, maybe honor your mum by remembering that she has a name. She is a person. She has a whole heart and a love for you that goes beyond, but she is also human too, has had her own experiences, has felt her own losses, has endured her own pain, and maybe, just maybe, she needs you to see her, not just as the person that gave her life, but as a person who has value, who is loved, and who will always be a treasure to God. We pray that you have a blessed and wonderful Mother's Day, and we pray that the Comforter will draw near to those who feel pain this year. We pray that those people who are separated and who cannot be with their mothers because coronavirus has meant we have to socially distance, that you will be able to be reunited again, that you will feel the joy and the love that comes from being in person. Just like the author John says, I want to come and talk face to face, and may our joy be complete. That is all from John today. God bless you and have a wonderful Mother's Day. Bye-bye.